You feel stupid?
Yeah, I did.
And then I just chose not to feel stupid. 90% of life is confidence. And the thing about confidence is no one knows if it's real or not.
Dear me, this is why you aren't confident. I have no idea why, but I think every single day the way I feel about myself changes, and who I am and how I feel about the girl staring back at me in the mirror shifts. Some days I feel like the most beautiful girl in the world, while others I think I'm too pudgy or too skinny or have way too much acne. I think these feelings have followed me since I was told I was different by others. I can trace these feelings back to elementary school. I tend to suppress the bad parts of my life and sometimes the memories slip away. But I do remember I went to a private Christian elementary school, and to everyone it was the safest place to be, right? But in a school where you could count the people of color on one hand, I began to compare myself with my peers, playing games of spot the difference. Games in which I would always aim to beat last time's high score. My hair wasn't as easy to style, my eyes weren't as light, my frame and stature not as small. And alongside the bullying, that left me with not only a fake front tooth, but a head full of intrusive thoughts new to my developing brain, off I went to middle school.
Is this a field trip? Okay, great. Take your children to work day? Okay. There is one landfill in the state of New York that, when you combine...
In middle school, I'm happy to say I found some sort of community. And not because most of my friends sported the same shades of melanin as I did, but because here I can say I was truly accepted and loved by people other than my parents. Maybe it was because I went to an arts middle school and we were all growing and developing in such an accepting environment, but the girls around me brought me out of my shell, made me more explorative and comfortable in my own skin. I think if I had to think of a time that I was really happy and authentic and truly creative, this would have to be it. Middle school was where I wrote songs and performed and acted and danced, and it pushed me out of my comfort zone in every sense of the word. This is where I think I first tasted confidence. Affirmations from my parents, teachers, and peers as I cruised through assignments, traveled to perform songs, and constantly met new friends, making new connections, made me feel special and cool, and I guess you could say confident. I began to understand my appeal. I was funny and spontaneous and outgoing and witty, so I began to express myself creatively in a more tangible way. Running home to create songs and movies and skits, I didn't realize I was a little genius in the making. These small things helped me build up an esteemed image of myself, but there were still a few things that still never made me feel as confident as I should have. Let's not pretend I wasn't boy crazy, leaving my small Christian school for a public school 7 times its size, filled with boys, which is never a good mix when you're pretty much taller than every guy in your graduating class. And here, I was introduced to the wonders of male validation, something that, once fully realized, became a big part of how I saw myself and traveled with me to high school. I'll admit, the love of a father is unmatched by any other. Soft, supportive, supposedly stable, and in its healthiest, most pure form, unconditional. For a long time, I thought the love of my dad was all I needed. But in middle school, as the sparse seeds of male attention from boys my age began to grow, planting firm roots in the summer of 2014 with innocent admirers that never came to be, by the time I entered the doors of high school, I found that the confidence I had once had began to be questioned. There were more girls here, shorter or skinnier or prettier or more outgoing than me, and it seemed like every individual was assessed by their traits and attributes and categorized into groups deemed popular or not. I don't think I've fully processed the me I was in high school because I still feel so many parts of her still in me. But one thing I'm glad I'm starting to get over is that constant yearning I had for male validation and companionship, which at the time I would give anything for. I would let boys cheat off me and annoy me as long as it meant they noticed me. To be honest, I really didn't start looking that great until 12th grade, and the stifled glow-up meant 3 years of barely any attention at all, followed by a year of attention from boys that never even looked my way before. This is where my idea of confidence became more complex, and just when I thought I grasped who I was and why I loved her, the idea of the male gaze and hearing them affirm me meant more to me than anything I had thought of myself. I think the most humbling moment of high school, and the moment I realized that male validation would never be where my confidence was found, was when I went to prom, and boys who I didn't even know were calling me pretty, but the one guy I cared about, the one I would get pretty every single day for, and let cheat off me and even brought him snacks for school lunches, said hi to every other girl at prom but me. It was after all those run-ins with males I had to pick up my pieces and teach myself that if you gain any validation or esteem or confidence from others, it would be the first mistake you make in this life. So, here I am now, taking lessons learned from every part of my life in order to build a better rapport and self-image of myself. I think I'm doing better at trying to understand my definition of confidence and how I see it within myself. I've chosen to try and find my differences endearing, looking at my uniqueness from others as gifts from God, designed specifically to make me who I am. And I'm realizing majority of the things I dislike about myself, no one even really cares about. I no longer have a craving or desire for male validation and companionship that isn't healthy or respectful or amicable. Funnily enough, the moment I stopped searching for men, the more quality men I attracted. I now have male friends that are like blood brothers to me, who value my feelings, know my ambitions, and are always more than supportive and generous. I even fell in love at a point, which was in and of itself something younger me would have never thought to happen. But I realized every relationship in my life should be valued and appreciated, not for how they can validate me or my wills or my self-esteem, but relationships should be cherished as times of vulnerability and opportunities for connections that aren't centered around who can give who what, but how these interactions can teach you more about others and by consequence yourself. There are still moments I falter though. A lot of moments actually. Despite the steps I take to build my esteem, some moments and events seem to remind me of everything wrong with myself and set me back a couple years. Some days I fear walking around or going to class or even raising my hand to answer a question because I feel I don't add up to the people around me. I genuinely worry that the future I want will never come to me, and I worry that the things I'm doing to better myself are meaningless. And I also worry that I'm letting myself or others down. So, to answer the question of why I'm not confident, it's because being confident isn't a destination, but a feeling. It's an emotion, one that can change as quick as a person can go from feeling happy to sad. What matters more than confidence is self-love and acceptance. Being able to look at yourself on your best and worst days and still love who you are. I think throughout life, I realize sometimes we strive to be confident by doing a bunch of things to ourselves to try to achieve this final destination, when in reality, confidence is so nuanced and transient that as soon as you think you've grasped it, something else about yourself is brought to your attention that changes everything you once thought. So now, instead of striving for confidence, I choose to strive for comfort. Trying to be comfortable and accepting of my own skin, no matter how different it is from the rest. I'm learning to be comfortable with the fact that I was made delicately and intentionally, and am loved very much. So because of that, I can't do myself or my creator a disservice by thinking anything less of myself. So, to the girl I once was, and the woman I'm becoming, don't worry about confidence. That will always come and go. Rely on loving yourself as much as you love others, and the rest will follow.